Okay, we're down to the last page of the notes for section 4.6. There is actually another page on this, fifth page, but it is already filled in. It's there for reference. So we're just looking at, well, 3 or 4 more problems here, I suppose. I haven't counted them. Okay, so what we have here is a situation where we have to decide which part of this gets done first. In other words, the priority. And PEMDAS says do parentheses first. Now, a lot of people will look at this and say, we have to do that first, but there's really nothing to do in there. That parentheses is there to separate the squared part from the subtraction. So we move on, and the next thing in the, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, PEMDAS is exponents. That's what the E stands for. So we'll do 2 times 2 times 2. And then 1/3 times 1/3 times 1/3, if you think of that separately here. The top gives 1. That's pretty easy. But 3 times 3 is 9, times another 3 is 27. And so we get 8 over 1. We'll make it into a fraction. And then we'll multiply this by 27 and by 27. And that'll give us a common denominator of 27. I'm going to snag my calculator and see what 27 times 8 is. 216 27ths minus 1/27 is equal to 215 27ths. And at this point, we're going to divide by, divide by 3, I think, but maybe not. Yeah, you get 72 over 9. Something's really goofy here, because that'll be 8. And I know 8 minus 1/27 is not, oh gee, what did I do wrong here? 27 times 8. 216, 215 over 27. Yeah, we're just going to leave it as this right here. Whoops. Sorry. 215 over 27. I think it's, yeah, that doesn't divide by 3. I thought 215 divided by 3. That was my mistake. Okay. On the next one, part D here, you have an addition, which normally is the lowest priority. Well, subtraction is sometimes lowest priority too. But because these are in parentheses, they get higher priority than the multiplication inside. So I'm going to add these, and to do that, I'm going to have to rewrite it. 2/5 plus 1/3. And to get a common denominator here, I'm going to shoot for 15. And that'll get 15 underneath both of them. So it's 6/15 plus 5/15. That'll become 11/15 eventually. Okay, the back half, I'm going to shoot for, looks like 3 and 2 will go into 6. Hang tight. Multiply this by 2 and by 2, and this by 3 and by 3, and now you got a 6 on bottom both times. So 4/6 minus 1/6 will be 3/6. So now we're down to 11 over 15 times 3 over 6, and I can cancel here now that it's multiplication. So I get 11 over 30th. 11/30 is my final answer. Okay, the next problem here, we're having to plug our x and y in. So let me set it up here. I'll just put the skeleton down. 4 times x plus the y. And I'm going to use some color coding here. I'll call the x. The x is negative 1/3. And the y is 4/5. The multiplication happens first. So we're going to say 4. Now, if you do 4 divided by 3, like I typically advise, it doesn't work so well. So you can go 4 times the top is -4, and then divided by 3, you just write it that way, like this. -4 divided by 3. Plus 4/5. Common denominator of 3 and 5 go to 15, so I got to make these 15s underneath here. Which then takes me down to -20 over 15 plus 12 over 15 or -8 over 15. And that one's complete. Okay, the next one is x times z divided by y. So I'm going to go x times z. X is -1/3. There's an easier way to write it. Plus or times the z, which is 1/2. And that gives, we have to divide that by 4/5, which is the y. The top is -1 over 6 divided by 4/5. And we're going to write this method 1 that we learned in this section. We're going to write it as a division problem first. And then the division problem becomes multiplying by the reciprocal. So this is -5/24 when we're done. Okay, we got one more here. Find the average of y and z. So you add them together, 4/5, that's the y, plus the z, 1/2, and then since there's two numbers, you divide by 2. So let's get a common denominator across the top. Multiply by 2 and by 2 to get a 10. Here we'll multiply by 5 and 5 to get a 10 also. That takes us to 8/10 plus 5/10 all over 2. I'm going to go ahead and make this into a fraction in preparation for the next step. 13 over 10 divided by 2 over 1. And now we have 13 over 10 divided by 2 over 1, or 13 over 10 times the reciprocal. And this gives 13/20 when you're done. Okay, so that takes us all the way down to the bottom of page 4, where you start to see that I've already filled in these notes here. These are put here just as extras to help you have more to look at in terms of examples. And there's also this full page over here with more examples. And they're, I believe, really clearly shown, so I hope they're helpful to you. That does it for page 4 of the notes, and there won't be a page 5. I've briefly shown you that page, and it's pre-printed.